Hello, world, and welcome back to episode number 21 of the podcast. With that being said, coming to you from the Brothers Blue, we were supposed to be hosting Andrew and Steven this evening, and that fell through, which is fine. We're going to try to host them next week, and, we're just pushing out a week. So, with that being the case, what we're going to do is have an episode about the topic of theology, which is something that Kyle has done a ton of personal research into. And so I think that will kind of drive the conversations that we have about this subject. While I'm still in the introduction, I want to put out the invitation to everyone from the Forbidden Knowledge News Network for them to come on to the podcast. And if they want to, please feel free, reach out to us, comment, whatever you want to do, email us. So, with that being said, that is Brother Kyle.
And that is Brother Cody. And to start our discussion on theology, I will just read the simple definition. Theology is the study of God and religious beliefs. And we're going to start the conversation sort of drilling down on three different terms: secularism, atheism, and agnosticism. And I put them in that order because it sort of describes my own personal journey of belief. And also, like, this is, an episode about theology, but I really do. We were talking about belief and how that is subjective. And so I really feel like my trajectory, my evolution of belief has become more based in philosophy than like theology or religion. But yeah, that is again just like points to that the reality that my understanding of these terms has ultimately determined the trajectory of my belief. And whether that is religious or philosophical, I would like to, get into. So the first term that I want to get into is secularism. And I view secularism as an avoidance of religion. Rather than an outright rejection of religion. When I think of a secular society, I think of a society with freedom of religion and a clear separation of church and state. It's not like anti-religious like some of the other terms we might get into.
It's like post-religious.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing that I was gonna bring up, is that secularism and agnosticism are actually very similar in that aspect, in that like agnosticism isn't like atheism, in that atheism, like you say later, is an antithesis. But yeah, and so that's the thing, is like secularism and agnosticism aren't so much like rejection or saying that, God doesn't exist. Agnosticism goes further into the whole, we can't understand what it is. Right?
Yes, I've been thinking about these as like philosophical end games. And like that is where I am starting to sort of land with panpsychism, which is something for an entirely different conversation, but it
Right.
does go into what you're talking about is that like agnosticism, I kind of feel like is like where you're just going to end up if you engage in the philosophical, intellectual exercise of like going through all of this. Where you end up is
And that's funny because I would say that where you end up is secularism.
well, hopefully.
And that's why I called it post-religion.
Yeah. Of
It's
all of
like
them, I would say secularism seems the most practical. Like,
but
yeah,
I think post-religion is for me is similar to the concept of post-capitalism in that my
yeah,
opinion we don't really have an understanding of what that's going to be.
yeah,
We don't know what's going to happen after capitalism, and we also don't know what's going to happen after theistic religion.
yeah. So that actually goes into a conversation that I want us to have about political theory. And one of literally the idea of like capitalist realism is that we literally can't even fathom or like think of what is beyond capitalism. Like
Right.
we aren't even like capable of fathoming it, of conceiving of it. And
Because
so,
if you think about it, sorry, real quick, I want to
yeah,
just interject. Is like if an agrarian person was to be introduced or inundated into what we have as our mixed capitalist economy right now, they would be like, "What the?" They would have no idea of what
yeah,
was going on.
yeah.
It's that same idea.
All right. I'm gonna move on to my next term.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I definitely do view atheism as like a refutation and rejection outright of religion because, again, the opposite of theism, the belief in a God, would be atheism,
Atheism,
belief
right?
that there is no God. And this is a antithesis argument that I kind of want to make later. Uh,
No, as far as terms go, it's pretty cut and dry.
Thank you. That's exactly what I
Right.
like. It's literally it's atheism. It's anti-theism.
It's like apolitical or yeah. Yep. Ascientific.
Yeah, so we could move through that one pretty quickly. And again, move on to
Oh,
the agnosticism thing. Or no, did you have something to say about atheism? Because
well,
again,
let's just
that's
get
right.
it. It's my note for later, so let's just get it out of the way. I have now heard multiple people say that people who call themselves atheists are stupid, and like I don't like being called stupid. You know that.
Yeah.
And so uh I
There,
have
there are two like famous atheists, Sam Harris and Ricky Gervais, who I would never call either of them stupid. So yeah.
yeah, Sam Harris is awesome and he's extremely intelligent in my opinion. Um but that's besides the point. And so what I'm saying is like I have through different interactions witness people saying that atheists are stupid, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty harsh.
Kind of
um
aggressive, yeah.
yeah, exactly, it's kind of aggressive. And so that's my thing is like, if I'm being realistic about my own personal belief, it's probably closer to agnosticism. Yeah, and so like that's the thing is like that's where my personal belief is. I want society to move towards secularism, and I think atheism isn't stupid. It's just not my personal belief.
Well, and it's almost I yeah. Uh, I don't really want to elaborate on atheism because
Oh, sure.
yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like I need to do more research, like straight up. Yeah.
That's funny for you to say, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, only because it's such a controversial topic.
no, I get it. And for you
Yeah.
to say that, that must mean you actually want to do it. So yeah.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I likes to do my research. So can I
Yep.
brought it up. I'm going to move on to agnosticism. So my view is that, uh, sorry, agnosticism suspends judgment on the matter entirely,
Yeah.
supporting or like asserting the idea that it is impossible to answer the question of the existence of a deity. And this goes into I think it is actually kind of hubristic
Yeah.
for somebody to like even claim that like they've had an experience that makes them believe. And it's like, okay.
Right. And yeah. And so, like, that's my thing is like, I have had, I've saved people's lives. I've been in very, like, high adrenaline situations. And, yeah, I don't think that that had to do with like some divine spirit that was just like the human experience being awesome.
Yeah, it was just you being a human, and this another like philosophical and but also kind of religious concept that I want to do more research on is humanism, and that is it literally goes into one of the points that you make about panpsychism and like human sentience being sort of
Special.
yeah. I also was doing some history today, and it's also the idea of transcendentalism is again like the idea that humans have a capacity beyond other uh biological beings in nature. Yeah, yeah, a lot of research into biology too, which you would love. Yeah,
I was doing some history today.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
just a little bit.
word. All right, keep going.
All right, so I don't really want to read my definitions of agnosticism and Gnosticism. I
Right,
hold on. No, I will read the definition of Gnosticism if that's okay, because we've already pretty much gone over what we think about or how we would define agnosticism, right?
right, and it's something we very much identify with.
Yeah. And
At
so
least
this is what's funny is like also we're talking about the antithesis thing is like atheism and theism. It's like, well, that's pretty straightforward. But I would say it is way not the case with agnosticism and Gnosticism. So let me just read the definition of Gnosticism. It is a collection of religious and philosophical ideas, primarily from late pre Christian and early Christian centuries, that emphasize secret knowledge, gnosis, as the path to spiritual enlightenment and salvation, often viewing the material world as flawed or evil. And
okay.
so, like, that's pretty convoluted
Thank you.
compared to its antithesis.
Like, yes, and then so the other thing I want to say is, yeah, so like I don't. identify with Gnosticism. And the last part reminds me of something. So it says, often viewing the material world as flawed or evil. And so something that I wanted to talk about that I'm glad that I thought of organically and I haven't brought up to you is that this idea that people need to be good in order to get salvation or avoid uh condemnation or whatever. Yeah, so like the idea is like, oh, I have to be a good person so I don't go to hell. No, you should just be a good fucking person. What is wrong with you that you need this threat of uh imminent doom to make you be a good person? Why is that a thing? I hate
Yeah.
that.
Well, and no, this goes into tuning my own horn. But like I'm in education because I want the world to be better.
Yeah.
It's not like an altruistic, like, oh, I think everybody deserves an education. Yes, that is absolutely the case. More so, we've talked about civic participation. Pretty hard to engage in civic participation if you don't have a public education.
I did that short stint of teaching because Danielle was making good money, and that's what
Yeah.
I wanted to do. Is I wanted to figure out a way to give back to the community, and
Yes.
I thought teaching was the best way of doing that.
And that's what I'm saying is like, uh, it's one of those things that should be viewed both ways. Is that giving back to your community? Yeah, it's good, it's cool, like whatever. But also, like, there is a sort of, in my opinion, a selfish aspect to it where it's like, I
Of
want
course,
things to be better for everyone, and
right?
everyone includes me. So like that's kind of a selfish, like I just want things to be better. And that again, that includes for me.
Yeah, I want my exactly. Like I have a good life, but I'd like it to be better.
Exactly. I think of a lot of ways in which it could be better. So yeah.
And money would solve most of them.
Like all of it, yeah. Let's
All
not
of them. Yeah, let's not go there.
let's not go there. So I don't really want to talk about pantheism or deism in my notes. But so we can get into yours at the very end. I actually would like to elaborate on your first one if you want to get us going.
Yeah, because the other one we already went through, and so my note about being hesitant to identify as an atheist is something we already talked about. But we also talked about one of the aspects of religion and its inherent negative aspect. I forgot what it was,
Well,
but
like
we did.
the violence, the
No, no, no. Oh, yeah. Hold on, hold on. The idea that you have to act good to avoid eternal damnation, like that is not a good thing. And so that is bad. That's a negative thing. And then the next thing that I talked about or brought up is it inherently causes violence and division. And so, I mean,
yeah,
we've already talked about the Israel Palestine thing. So, like, that literally is and it's
it's
funny
just
that we didn't
Muslims
bring this up.
versus Jews.
It's literally the example that proves what I'm saying. It
Oh,
causes violence and division.
the crusade again. I just because I'm the history guy and
Yeah,
I
you go back, right?
I've taught the Crusades like 3 times this year. Like that's the thing. Yeah. So, but yeah, religion is like inherently violent, and also, but like that is the unfortunate aspect is it has some positive qualities. Again,
Right.
I think being a practicing Muslim has been good for our cousin Sheikh, and like there are again people.
It builds community, and like honestly gives people personal strength in times of need.
It can even give you a sense of self, like yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
totally.
so there are a lot of like that's the thing is I really wanted to make is that like I this is one of the truly historical debates that I would make is that like it's still up in the air whether or not religion has been like a net positive or net negative.
That is a great
Yeah.
uh argument or question, because that's my thing is I think it has been a greater net negative.
Yeah.
um but and that's my thing is like I would want someone to prove me wrong.
Well, I mean the it doesn't necessarily prove you wrong and like the world has only gotten more secular or non-religious or whatever, but dude, like everybody's really it's so funny like
Yeah.
you
Oh
go back
yeah, that.
200 years
Yep.
and go to literally anywhere in the world and they practice religion is prominent. Yeah.
It's so insane, I just don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, like even like Rosenberg is a non-orthodox, like not practicing Jew, but like
Right.
he I wouldn't necessarily call him a Zionist, but like he supports Israel, and so
Well,
that's
yeah.
that's a thing. Like but that has nothing to do with religion.
What you think it has to do with his ethnicity?
No, I think it has to do with his politics.
Oh.
Because there are people who aren't Jewish at all that support Israel, and
No, but I was talking about his like whole like existence, like, but he also goes to the motherland every year, right?
no, not every year. He's been
Oh.
there.
Oh, I thought that was the thing. Never mind.
No,
Okay, I'm wrong.
no, no. As far as I know, you that's not a Jewish thing. But again, like he's just a boomer Jew, and like so obviously he dude he voted for George Bush, and but is also like a staunch supporter of Israel. Like this dude is one of the most fascinating individuals. Like this is why I love the fact that I get to have a conversation with him every morning because, yeah, he's got a different perspective.
Do you think he voted for Obama after Bush?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yep. All right, man. So, with that being said,
Knowledge is power.